All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Parasyte the Maxim, episode 15.
All right, so we had some really good stuff happen last episode, and some of it was rather intense. We got the whole thing with the investigator. He's been told everything.
Yes, Kuramori, I believe is his last name. Yeah,
and he seems fairly reasonable. Like he's actually agreeing to.
He's scared.
Yeah, and fear does all sorts of things.
Yeah, he's probably even more scared, though, than the fact that he's been working for a parasite this whole time with Tamiya Ryoko. Yeah. Or whatever her new alternate name is that totally sounds like Tamiya Ryoko.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Shinichi and her had a meeting. And after her little lecture that she attended. And she threatened to use her child as a meat shield. It was effective. Shinichi did not attack her.
Yeah.
But it disturbed him a little bit.
Just a little. And then he ended up bumping into a fortune teller who was talking about the hole left in his heart by his mother. And
he's like, right, because I killed her.
Yeah. Yeah. So, this next episode, y'all, without further ado, let's get into it. All right, now be sure to check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, and then come back here for the discussion.
Okay.
All right.
This is a
we are moving things
tough
along.
Situation. Yeah.
Moving things along. Tamiya Ryoko, still working with the rest of the parasites, obviously, but the whole feeding ground situation moved rather quickly. It was discovered because of Kuramori's person that he had sent to the basement to follow
Tamiya. Yeah.
Tamiya Ryoko. Yeah.
Yep. And totally makes sense.
This leads to a confrontation in the parking garage where Shinichi's plan was in contradiction with what Migi wanted.
Right.
But they were thinking, I'm guessing, originally to film some acts of the parasite for the purpose of just gathering evidence to present eventually to the authorities.
Originally, the only reason they went in there is because there weren't any parasites there, right? And it's like, okay, we're good. And then suddenly it's coming by car and, it's too fast, right? You know, to basically leave by the time, it's happening. And originally they just wanted to investigate and see what's going on. Now, the interesting thing here, there's a part of me that wants to say, Shinichi, you're being stupid. You come out and reveal yourself and say that this is going on, but there's no way you would be able to get the person to believe you without giving evidence, and they'll just end up dead, and which is what happened. But there's another way I feel like to look at it, in that in some ways, potentially, Shinichi wanted this person to end up dead. Even though he doesn't want people to die, he doesn't want his identity to be revealed, right? Now, he wasn't giving too much thought about his own survival and his own identity with the whole idea of the video footage and things like that, right? But there's an idea, but that could be a subconscious fear, right?
Yeah.
Hence why it's basically like, well, this human, this meat sack, they're basically already dead. Right? Maybe I can't really save them, So he does the sort of half-hearted attempt at saving them while keeping himself safe, right? Because the thing is that he could have probably surprise attacked the parasite and killed them, right? The thing is that if he did that, the person, the human, wouldn't know that was a parasite that he killed.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And then what do you do? Right? Yeah, you basically have to kill them at that point because they're going to tell everything. Maybe the investigator could actually cover the story for him and be like, no, this is some messed up stuff, but not likely.
Yeah,
right?
The main thing I think he was getting from that was just the evidence so that he was able to showcase that these parasites exist. And maybe he was thinking eventually hey, this could be helpful if I ever need to showcase that I'm on the side of humans. I protect... Sure. And I kill these parasites, yes.
Right.
Even though I am one of them.
Yeah.
Half, sort of. So,
right.
Kuramori, he's quitting. I'm impressed that they actually were willing to say, this thing we'd been building up. He had a natural fear-based response for survival. And he noped out of there with the thoughts of his wife and kid on his mind, and was like, nope, you know what? This is too much for me.
I know I said a whole bunch of other stuff earlier.
Right.
But now that I think about it...
Now that I've seen it...
Yeah. No.
Now that he's felt that fear, in reality, he had that convulsion, those the retching and stuff. Yeah, it makes sense that he would want to nope out of this situation. I like that Miggy also is still... like, no, I was talking to him because, I was being helpful with you in this whole situation, Shinichi, because we were in conflict with each other.
Right.
But I still have my motivation of, I don't want us to be discovered and turned into the authorities or even working with other humans in general. So the minute he got the opportunity to crush the video recording footage, he was like, yep, I'm doing that.
Even though that could theoretically have been helpful later in very specific circumstances if they got put into a corner. It's no. See, this is evidence. I actually fight these parasites or whatever. But no. That would basically mean all jack shit.
It mean nothing. Yeah.
And Shinichi could use it in ways that he wouldn't like. Boom, it's gone. There you go. Yeah.
Shinichi still wrestling with the identity issues of being a human or not being a human, understandably. But it's also something that he seems to have less and less emotional distraught over the course of time. And I gotta say, I am loving the thematic choice of having this dream state space that they've gone into now with Kana and now with Shinichi, where there's this like monstrous, veiny, mind palace space for the hive mind of the parasites or the supreme overmind of the parasites.
I feel like they're basically revealing here that the stuff with Tamiya Ryoko, and at least this organization, maybe not Tamiya Ryoko specifically, but this part here is one arc. And there's going to be something after it. And it's probably going to involve this thing.
We don't know also that the anime covers all of the manga.
Oh, that's a good point.
So just saying,
that's true.
Never considered it just because this is so the source material is so old.
Right, that you would think they'd just be like, all right, let's just go through from beginning to end if we're going to do it at all. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is Madhouse, but if anything, because it's Madhouse, it makes more sense that they would do only the one season and not continue on with the source material.
But the thing is that with what happened with Kana's dreams, she learned things, or there were things in the dreams that was actual factual information
interpreted a certain way.
But the thing is that she didn't even know that parasites existed. Or she was it was so the idea that she was dreaming about Shinichi as the parasite-ish whatever he was in her dreams, right?
Well, he was more monstrous than specifically parasite.
Right, but still Yeah. So the fact that there's this idea that there could be some element of truth, something that she's tapping into that is not fully understood. And here we get it again with Shinichi. And it's something where he's not he's not a regular parasite, right? So with the two people that aren't, I guess there's Uda, but with the two characters that we've had the most time with that are not regular parasites, but are parasitic, they've had these dreams, and there's the whole idea of the directive of consume this species or whatever, and that gives me very Borg Queen kind of overmind stuff.
Okay. Enough of the theories and stuff like that. This thing communicated with Shinichi in the dream.
Yeah.
There's a difference between the dreams that Kana had, which were sex drive-fueled fantasies, and this, which is just out of the blue, except with regards to the identity questions that Shinichi is having here.
Yeah, and the whole Luke Skywalker in the cave thing, I'm all for that with that the speaking could theoretically be Shinichi's own fears about himself and things like that, becoming manifest and whatnot in a dream.
It is. Right.
But
that's all theory. That's all theory.
Yeah, it's all theory.
So with what we have right now, though, Shinichi is so distraught about this, though, subconsciously, that it's being brought up into the it's rising to the top of his subconscious into his conscious mind in the dreams, that he's having here. I mean, dreams are subconscious, whatever. But the fact that he's experiencing that shows how much it's actually disturbing him.
Right.
Whereas we see him going from episode to episode, and it doesn't actually seem to be disturbing him that much.
Yeah.
Because he just doesn't have the capacity to feel that stuff that much anymore.
Or at least his... I almost think it's...
You see it as a different way?
Yeah, is that it's not so much that he doesn't have the capacity to feel things, but because of the dissonance of the fact that he doesn't see himself as being a human anymore, the perspective from which he feels things is very different. So, for instance, you know, like, if there's a mosquito, right, we might slap it and not think much about the mosquito. It's like, no, this is the thing that was trying to eat me, you know, kill it, right?
Yeah.
If someone were to take that kind of perspective with other people, we would take issue with that, right?
But this is all internal stuff. He's dealing with himself.
Yeah. But the internals is because of how he's of how his place in society and the world is being disrupted, right? As a result of what's going on, these changes that he's having, and his previous moral compass is not being applied where it should. It can be applied. He has the points where there's things that he still deeply cares about, right? You know, and it bothers him, you know, when Tamiya Ryoko, you know, tries to use her baby as a meat shield and things like that. But then there's other things that don't concern him quite as much anymore.
Like the things I was mentioning.
Right. Generally the stuff that involves him considering himself a human and all those things that we attribute importance to because we're human people, like we're people, right? We're a member of the species. But I don't think it's because he doesn't have the capability, if that makes sense.
I feel like you just said in more words exactly what I said in less. I don't understand the difference. So he doesn't have the perspective that allows him to see it that way. You're saying it's not a capability thing, then what is it? What's the verb? So basically that because his perspective has been changed, right? He still has the capability of empathizing and, you know, and doing all that stuff and valuing human life and whatnot. But because of how his world is changing and how he himself is changing, he isn't right now. But then
it's not that he can't, but that he isn't.
Well, where was the time in the recent bit where we have seen him showcase empathy?
What do you mean?
Where has he shown it in the more recent episodes? Like, if he has the capacity to do it, you've seen something where it was an example of him using it.
Right, when he freaked out that Tamiya Ryoko was going to kill her baby. Or you know, get him to kill her baby.
I don't think that's empathy. I don't think that's human emotion in terms of a thing like that. It just violates something internally about his belief systems regarding how mothers are supposed to act.
Yeah, but that could just be because he doesn't know the baby. It's, you know, it's a baby. He doesn't know what its, you know, personal preferences are, and if it had some struggle of, you know, whatever, or the girl in the parking lot. You know, he wanted to save her. He doesn't know her personally as a person, so he isn't able to empathize with her on any deep level because she's just a person.
So my thing I would say that makes it slightly different is that if he doesn't have the capacity to understand the emotion, or even the capacity to really call it up consciously, it's something he just reacts to violently, and it more triggers like a survival fear mechanism within him. Is it actually the emotion? Like, is it more actually, like you're saying, with perspective, it's something where he sees it as being different, so it's still the same thing as it being empathy, but because his perspective on it is different, that's where the main difference is. Not in his capacity, because I would just say that it's still not a capacity thing, because then there's no actual connection to him through it.
So here's another way that I could say he has showcased empathy this episode.
Okay.
He tried to reason with the other Parasyte.
When
he said no, stop, you know, and he was saying get away from him, he's a monster.
That wasn't him reasoning with the Parasyte. That was...
So there was the part of him saying, get away from him.
You run away, right.
You run away, he's a monster, right? But when he was saying no, stop, that's something that is directed at the parasite.
Okay, that doesn't seem like empathy, though. That just is him trying to
no. I would say
protect the human.
No, I would say that is empathy, because it's basically saying that he believes, he has hope that there's a person in there somewhere, even though he logically knows that there is actually no person in there. They have been completely taken over by the parasite. He still considers the parasite to be someone that could make the right choice. Right, okay. and that's why he says no, stop.
Interesting.
And I think the reason why he does that is because he sees himself as turning into a parasite, so he has to. Otherwise, what hope is there for him?
Yeah, it's very Frodo-esque to Smeagol.
Right, exactly.
I like that kind of thing there.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's not...
I mean...
Yeah. I'll have to percolate over my own thoughts on this matter. I see the whole struggle thing with this as being something where he is wrestling with the fact that he doesn't feel connected to humanity anymore.
Right.
And the first way of that is he's losing empathy, or he has lost empathy. If it's in a state of where he's losing it, I think you could probably argue that. I would just state that the reason why he's having this nightmare so far is that he believes it's way farther gone than you're bringing it out to be.
Well, and the idea that he's losing his empathy for humans.
Okay, that's actually a cool discussion.
Like the idea that he might still have empathy, but if he doesn't feel it for humans, then who is he, right? You know, how could his empathy be for these monsters that kill and eat people?
That's
right?
actually a really cool element of discussion, because you were saying that the parasite was the one that he was actually worried about, and saying, like, I don't want to have to kill you.
Right, like he was still worried for the person, right? But when he actually spoke, he said, don't, you know.
Yeah, but that's...
Which,
again, that's too much to extrapolate from one word.
Exactly. It is very much a sliver of a beginning, right? But even the idea...
I just don't see it as anything.
Oh, really?
I see it as he literally says over and over again, I want to protect as many people as possible.
Right,
and that's not necessarily empathy. That's
well, the reason that I think this is and you were saying it's not necessarily empathy.
Yeah.
So his whole thing of wanting to protect as many people as possible, it's coming from a place of anger, right? I feel like like in the previous episode, he was absolutely furious that he wasn't like that. Tamiya Ryoko right in front of him.
I'll run with this. So it's coming from a frustration,
right? Because
and thus anger,
right? Because he sees this horrible stuff that's happening, and he's realizing I'm slowly becoming more like that. I might not be turning into that completely. I might still have parts of my humanity and everything, but I'm becoming more like that, and I don't like that, right?
Okay.
So then he's on this desperate attempt to try and fix things, to try and solve things, right? And
wait, what do you mean?
By saving as many people as possible.
But that doesn't fix him.
Right, but basically he's going to the behavior because he's starting to feel like he's losing out on the reasoning why he's doing it in the first place, right? And that's why he's grasping to it so strongly.
Huh.
Now maybe I'm reading into this way too much, but basically
I feel like you're bringing in a different vein into this, like you're porting in a little bit of a different character into Shinichi right now.
Well,
and I like the discussion surrounding the perspectives being separate regarding humans and parasites, because I feel like that's again relegating back to the identity issue that he has of not seeing himself anymore as a human. He sees himself as a monster, and there is a very literal thing biologically going on underneath the surface that both the story, Tamiya Ryoko, and like us as the audience are having like blared at us as a message,
which
like,
is one of
pay attention to this.
That's one of the reasons why I love the fact that this is at high school, because the thing is that so the whole idea of being at high school, okay, yeah, cool, whatever, right? It's anime, why not, right? You know, your demographic, cool, reach them. But then there's also the idea that the reason why high school stories are generally so relatable is because it's that point where, you know, you're deciding who you are, right? And you're changing, right? And because you're changing...
golden period of your life.
Yeah, exactly. And because you're changing, you have to figure out and decide who you're going to be, right? Because you're not who you used to be, but you can't completely give up who you used to be, right? Because that's still you, right? So here we have him he's changing, right? His body, son, your body is going through some changes, and that's perfectly normal. No, it's not, Dad. Not these changes, right?
Yeah.
And he has to decide what kind of person he's going to be. But he's terrified because change is scary, right? And in this case, it's really scary.
Yeah.
So that's my take on it.
Okay. I think my thing on this is just that the difference between our viewpoints is that yours is based around the humanity parts and how that is something that he's desperately trying to hold tightly onto.
Right. Yeah.
My thing is that he is afraid because he is seeing now the monstrous parts overtaking to the point where he doesn't have a grid anymore for these things like empathy. I think an example of this is how fake it is when he saw Murano, he put up the fakest smile and he lifted up his hand and then did the yo, like everything's okay.
Oh,
Which is exactly the opposite of what someone with empathy would do in this situation. He had a very painful discussion with her recently, and he's not referencing at all. If anything, he's showcasing his disconnect with that whole side of things. Sure. And she freaks out with that because she's like, oh, this is good. Wait, no, this doesn't match. This shouldn't be.
Yep.
You're freaking me out. So she runs away.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't know why. He just knows he's doing something wrong.
Right.
That's the freaky thing about this is I'm seeing this as someone who just woke up one day and forgot how to speak their home language.
Right.
No, meaning that they don't have it anymore. Not that they can speak a few words. They don't have it anymore. So that's scary. So they don't have empathy. They don't have any of those things there. He wants to do the right thing. And I think that's because he knows that that has to be something that is the closest to the thing that will help him regain his humanity. Like, if I protect as many of them as possible, then maybe I'll find along the way the thing that I lost.
Well,
I would just rather see the instance in the specific actions he's taken in the last few episodes that you believe is kind of this is him showcasing empathy, because I don't see it that much really.
Well, the thing is, so it is not regular empathy in that, because he's, because of what's going on, right?
Okay.
And I think, and what you said there, I think we agree on the basis for why he's doing all the things that he's doing. Yes. Is that he's trying to hold on to the idea of being human, whether he's already lost that and he's trying to reclaim it, or whether it's the last dying embers and vestiges of it and he's trying to not let go, right? I feel like at this point it's kind of like an agree to disagree kind of a thing.
Okay.
But I think that it's very easy for people as humans to write something off that they don't understand because they don't understand it. And that if it's something that is strange, right? If it's something that's unfamiliar, then we say that it can't be this thing that's familiar because it's unfamiliar, right? That was a very weird way of saying it.
Yeah, but what does that mean?
So for instance, if you have people from two different cultures, right? Mm-hmm. Or people that just behave differently, right? They have different ways of processing things, like ways of showing affection, for instance, right?
Okay.
And you can have one person and they do something that is their way of showing affection.
Right.
And to the other person, that is one of the worst things you would ever want to do, and that's horrible, that's horrible, that's horrible. Clearly they can't be affectionate for this person or whatever, because otherwise they would never do something like that, right? But if you were to ask the person, they're like, no, I absolutely, am doing my best to do X, Y, Z, right. And this is the way that I do it, right? But because of how he's changing, the things that he thinks of as his priorities, basically, of things to empathize with, humans aren't undisputably number one anymore, because he's not just a human.
What do you mean?
Like in the same way that Miggy, talked about like when he was saying we need to hunt down and kill the other parasites. He's like, oh, so you're going to ask me, a parasite, to go and kill my own people?
Uh-huh.
You sure you want to ask me to do that? Like I might not want to do that, right?
Right.
So now in these situations where he has his own people killing his own people, causes issues.
I don't see what this has to do with the empathy side of things. I'm lost.
Because I feel like a lot of the times, because of how human beings function, right? When we empathize, that can cause us to not empathize with the opposite.
Okay.
Right? Because we're putting ourselves in the shoes of someone and seeing things from their perspective and things like that, right? And empathy, right?
Well, that's yeah.
You know what I mean.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
And so, in the same way that the mother bear, might have empathy for her cubs, but not for the person that's going on a backpacking trip through the woods, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
And because Shinichi is now both the human and the parasite, that throws everything out of whack. And now he needs a new grid for it. It's not that he doesn't have empathy, but yes, he has no grid for empathy. So what is everything measured? How do things relate to each other, right? He's been completely thrown into a new world. And it's scary. And it's weird.
Gotcha. All right. Yeah, at the very least, this is cool because from perspective side of things, like I do not have like a grid for your perspective that you're bringing up here, but the character that has the perspective shift happening at a deep core level is a character that is in flux. So regardless of whether or not he has empathy, he's going through his own form of change with that.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, that's been going on for the entire show since he got Miggy.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe it's something where you're rejecting this because I'm stating in definitives regarding a being that is currently in flux. And it's like, whoa, hold on. There's no like progression here in this viewpoint. And I'm like, all right, I'll grant you that. But with what he's doing right here, he is failing.
Yes.
Horribly at being a human.
Right.
And that is why he is scared. And now we have a situation where he is channeling that frustration into anger. And I think that's where dark monster side is actually getting the focus here.
Gotcha.
Is that it's not just a biological thing of him getting the physical body that he has upgraded and or altered. It's also the idea that I think he's feeling a little bit more alone than just connected to both sides, split between both sides. It's that he's actually going to be the one that hunts and kills the parasites without mercy. But the very things that he's supposed to have empathy for, that he's protecting from said parasites, he doesn't have that for them anyway.
Because he certainly doesn't fit in with the parasites based on how things have been going, and he's not fitting in with the humans well. There was someone who said, I can't remember who it was, but they said, this was a long time ago, and they said that the human heart in conflict with itself is the only thing worth writing stories about.
Oh, that's a good line.
Like
it's a really good line.
And this is like an almost perfect like showcasing of that through literal story mechanics.
Okay.
But
that's every Demon Within story, though.
Right, but yeah.
Every single one has this same kind of moment in the story where the character is changing and they're split between the two worlds. It's almost actually a romance in a weird way.
Sure. Well, and what was it? What was the old definition for like Shakespearean stories where you have the romance and the comedy?
Crap.
And the like I can't remember for the life of me exactly what it was. I'm gonna remember it
randomly in like 3 hours.
Yeah, because it was something very specific. But the idea that let's move on. I don't look it up if you don't know what we're talking about, because it's pretty fascinating.
How do they know what to look up if they don't know what we're talking about?
Shakespeare romance versus comedy, like because whenever you look up like Shakespeare plays or whatever, and it says like this is a romance, this is a comedy, like you wouldn't think like that a certain thing would be a comedy or a romance or whatever, right? But yeah.
Okay, that's that episode.
Yes,
we got a lot. Actually, like threat-wise, coming in for Shinichi here, and my theory about parasites working together in one host ended up coming to pass. So that also makes me think that this is going to be the littler version of it. I'm just gonna say. Like in terms of what I expect more likely with these kinds of things is some kind of Resident Evil stuff,
right?
Where we
critical
get
mass flood or something like that.
Oh yeah, like 25, all just we are Legion. Then works out really well. So here we go. So y'all, if you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion to this show right now, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length reactions there. And all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us about these stories, about anime in general. You can get involved with the community there. Got a lot of fun stuff going on. And you can also talk with Jacob about his book.
Yes, my sci-fi novel Battle Lines is still available for order on Amazon. The link is in the description below, so make sure to go check it out and leave a review to let people know what you think.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.